right, we have here Mr. Bob Bradley, and let me see if I have all your different things you do. Musician, marketer,
Yes.
amongst a
Yes.
million other things you do. So we can start with the less painful question. So how did you get roped into this wonderful world called the music business?
I actually started um, with the more musician side of things, and as you mentioned, I started playing in bands when I was in high school,
Okay.
and it really just kind of worked out the right way. It's hard to look in retrospect on like what worked and what didn't, to make it happen the way it did. But I played in bands with my friends, and it ultimately became this band called Scars of Tomorrow, and we just
Okay.
really worked our butts off locally here in Orange County in Southern California, and ended up getting, a small record deal, which led to us getting a bigger one with Victory Records and touring full time. And yeah, that's the business side as a musician, right? That's,
Yeah.
you're working for yourself, you're just trying to like find a van, find some shows, find people that believe in you, and get on the road. And that teaches you about the business, whether you want to learn about it or not. And it
Yeah.
makes some people excited and they want to go work on the other side of the desk. And some people are like, screw this. I don't like this. I'm going to go, be anything else.
Yeah.
And, that led to me having a lot of interest in the business side of things. And it was just kind of something that was natural to me, and especially the singer in my band as well, who also works in the business.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just like it, and so we want to help other people. And, we didn't want to work a normal day job. So we both, went and did our own thing in music after touring.
Okay. At what point you were interested in the business side? When did you realize you wanted to make this into like a second career aside from just playing music?
Um, Great question. I stopped touring in, I think, early 2007, end of 2006. And I
Hmm.
actually took a job back in real estate on the mortgage side of things. And it's something was just kind of nagging at me, not in a bad way, just more like, hey, I kind of miss this. I don't miss the road, but I miss the whole music essence thing.
Yeah.
And, I had an opportunity to play for another band signed to a larger label. And I just ended up not taking that because I didn't want to get on the road. But I reached out to a couple companies, and one of those was Pure Volume at the
Hmm.
time. And I was working at the mortgage company, and I was making good money there. I was very thankful, but it just felt like the generic day job in all the music videos that you see, right?
Yeah.
And I reached out, and they were like all excited, and they gave me a job, and I was really excited, and I quit really quick. And I probably shouldn't have done that, but it worked out for the best and led to other jobs in the industry as well.
Yeah. Now, at what point did Bob Bradley PR? Was this
Um,
after you parted ways from all the stuff you just mentioned?
yeah, I worked at Pure Volume. Then I took a job at Fearless Records, which is where I learned PR. I
Hmm.
really didn't understand that world. I think people get that, like, people get in magazines and blogs and stuff, and there's got to be a way, and maybe they just choose everybody. But I learned how to do it as a
Hmm.
job online, and from that point on, I worked at a startup called Authentic Artists, which you remember me from.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've been together a long time. And at that point, we started not only signing artists and doing their marketing and distribution and publishing, but we were also consulting for people too.
Yeah.
And that gave us the idea of like, hey, like, this is cool. They're going to pay us, and we just have this temporary relationship, and we help them do cool stuff, and everyone's happy and moves on. And it's honestly just guaranteed income for us, and it's great results for them. And I never thought of it that way before that. I just thought it was just a job that I had, and it was fun. It didn't feel like a job. It was just a cool
Yeah.
thing to do. But I'm like, if I want to live a lifestyle where I don't have to go into an office every day and do things that I'm maybe not too stoked on, it's like I got to figure out how to hustle and make money on my own. And that was doing PR,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was cool. It was just like through the network and living in LA and knowing people through playing in bands. I had a lot of people come to me and ask for help, and then they tell their friends, and so on and so on. So clearly did something right. And
Yeah.
to this day, it's continued to play in my favor. So I'm very thankful.
Okay. It's interesting you mentioned authentic artists because around the time I met you, I'm sure
Hmm.
it was a cool idea, but then
Yeah.
if you look at it, when was that? Like a decade, over a decade ago. It's almost
Yeah.
planting the seeds of what's kind of around today with a lot of DIY artists. I mean, the whole
Yeah.
digital thing is like on a whole nother level now, and people, and especially things like publishing is kind of taking on a whole nother life of itself. So, when you were
Oh,
working
absolutely. Yeah.
in that environment, was that something that you ever foresee what's going on now, working around that environment?
That's a great question. I'm just like getting nostalgic and just thinking
Yeah,
back to 2008, I think.
yeah.
I have my laptop down here, so if I'm looking down, I'm looking at you, and then I'm looking up at my camera here. So when I started that job with Scott Austin, who's awesome. What's up, dude? If you're watching this, he was a visionary. He had such cool ideas, and he wasn't afraid to take that leap. And that's what I admire about him. And we're still great friends to this day. But it was, he went from an A&R position at Capitol and Warner Brothers. I came from being a stupid band guy and working at labels and just working these creative jobs. And it's like, how do we put together something that is a little bit different? And we had we had a platform to build the company and
Hmm.
sign some cool artists. And it was around the time when iTunes first peaked its head, and we're
Yeah,
like, what is this going to do? People were still buying CDs. Obviously, it was still majority of the sales, but we were noticing that more and more people were streaming.
yeah,
And my relationship with CDs was kind of like, I don't feel like paying $18 a CD. I
yeah,
could just buy the MP3. And people were buying MP3s instead of stealing and things like that. It was easier. If you make it
yeah.
easier, just like Spotify, why do I want to pirate music? It's easy to just go stream it, right?
Yeah.
But we were trying to figure out another way to monetize our relationship with the artists, and that was licensing for film and TV.
Hmm.
And kind of just learned that from scratch. I'm not going to lie. We had some good friends in the industry that were kind of mentors to us, like my friend Peter Davis at Bina Murray. Helped kind of open some doors for us. And
Yeah.
if it wasn't for those key people and key ideas from Scott and working together and just putting our brains together and a lot of partying in LA, just meeting great people, it's like that's like your boot camp, right? To figure
Yeah.
stuff out. And any company that forms, you're going to find that it starts one way and then it kind of ends up maybe another.
Yeah.
But it happens so quickly. We were just like, meeting all these great people and building relationships with iTunes and whatever was around at the time. Besides that, Amazon was still doing their MP3 thing, but it
Yeah.
was like, how do we make the most of this relationship? And it's like, streaming was going to, obviously, we saw it coming. That like, hey,
Yeah.
this CD thing is not the way to go. We didn't do CDs. We actually did a few, but more as a sampler, as a publicist would do, like send out CDs for reviews. But we didn't do it as a way to monetize the artists that we were working with. And we also saw that everything was moving online with journalism too.
Yeah.
So, that's how I was trained. That's all I really knew. I didn't grow up or go to school for journalism or get trained to do print press, especially at Fearless. Like somebody else did that. So like online is my thing and it always has been. And it's kind of funny that online is everybody's thing now.
Yeah.
Like it's it kind of definitely played in my favor, which is really cool. But just to watch that unfold in 2008, 2009, 2010, it's just kind of like go with the flow. I wasn't too worried about someone who's worked at a company as an executive for 20 years maybe panicking. I'm
Yeah.
just more like, all right, let's go with it. This sounds fun. Let's think of some cool ways. We weren't afraid of losing our job or losing clients. We were like, let's just figure out the best way to serve them.
Yeah.
So
And then you've been in the PR game for a while, so and now I mean PR is probably more important than ever for the lifespan of a musical act
oh
because
yeah.
in a lot of different ways. I mean, like you said, when you started, it was like a name in a magazine, but these days it spans from everything from podcasts to blogs to vlogs to somebody's internet channel or whatever it is.
Yeah, totally.
So what kind of things have you experienced over the years that have changed, and how do you feel like your strategy for PR for any kind of artist that you've worked with has changed over the years?
For me specifically, it's going to be different for a smaller boutique
Mhm.
setup like myself and my small team compared to a large agency that has 20, 30 years, a big name or big power
Yeah,
players that work there because they're also working with huge artists. So if
yeah,
you work at a large agency and you work with a large artist, or you historically have worked with large artists, it's honestly way easier.
hmm,
You could just send out that blast and it has from that person or that agency, even for an emerging artist,
hmm,
you're going to get way more. Uh, I mean, I don't want to discredit myself because I can pull in a lot of great stuff and stuff that blows my clients' minds because I
yeah,
think I'm good at what I do and I have great relationships. But for that level, but you're paying so much money for like a large agency like that. And I'm not trying to be mega agency here. I'm just trying to work with great artists that are looking for great press and want to bolster their profile. So you're absolutely correct. Like, when you get all this press, especially these days in podcasts, forums, write-ups and reviews, it's like that stuff can live online forever,
yeah,
as long as the website is up. And you can't be short-sighted about it for anybody's press. It helps build credibility for you. And if you don't do press these days, it's really hard to stand out. I don't want to go out on a tangent here, but it's a harder thing to measure because everyone depends on Spotify numbers, or they depend on how many likes they get on Instagram or Facebook. And that's cool,
hmm,
but it's about the whole team here. You got
yeah,
great press, you got great numbers, but then it's your work as well. You need to get out there and promote yourself and create your own content. PR can only do so much, but it's about the long term. After many
yeah,
months of doing something, a year down the line, you type in the name of you as an artist and you're like, wow, I do have a lot of press out there, and it's led to other opportunities, whether you know that or not. So some of it's measurable, some of it isn't, but it's important to have it because you could get featured on a Spotify playlist, which is amazing, but people are going to forget about that a week later. Just
yeah.
like with press too, they're going to forget, but then it's on there forever. It won't be on the Spotify playlist forever. So um, not competing them against each other. It's great to have both and then some, you know?
Okay. And I know that you've dabbled a little bit with PR outside of music as well. You've worked with,
Yeah.
it's not corporate businesses, but kind of like retail and other areas too. But how are those areas changed in terms of PR versus say like a while ago? I don't know when you first were dabbling with that world versus now, because we see
Yeah.
a
Great
lot of
question.
retail businesses. I mean, people are getting into that entrepreneurial space, unlike
Yeah.
a while ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think the skill set is totally transferable. It's kind of the same thing. It's just for a
Mhm.
different industry. So it's having the right contacts, the right pitch. But if you're dealing with products, especially expensive products, you got to be able to seed that. So if you're working with, I mean, I work with like a really well-known tattoo artist,
Mhm.
and I've done stuff for real estate, and I don't do it as much off these days. But I had a few years where I was working with a lot of restaurants,
Okay.
and 2020 is not a good year for restaurants.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's really sad. But with like a restaurant, you have to bring in each person to try the food, so that's a
Yeah.
higher cost on their end. But I mean, honestly, like restaurants, just being very honest, like sometimes it's hard to make a profit in a
Yeah.
restaurant, so they don't necessarily have the best budgets for PR. So but it's just because I love that industry, and I've worked with clients in restaurants that have had healthy budgets, and others that are like, I can barely afford you. And I'll do it sometimes just because I love what they're doing.
Mhm.
And like a consumer packaged goods CPG like Gringo Bandito, which I've worked with for over 4 years,
Okay.
and that's owned by Dexter of the Offspring. And I just worked with them because I thought it was a great sauce. I've been a fan of them forever, and we got them hundreds of features from high profile magazines that everyone knows to blogs that that you might not know of, or I have not known of before, but
Yeah.
they have thousands of readers, and it's all organic, and people are doing everything online for the most part, and they're looking for creative ways to push their product. And that ties in directly with social media experts as well. They're doing their thing too.
Okay.
create content that can go viral. And I mean, that's PR as well. You do something that's really cool. You do something that's charitable, or you do something that's funny and it goes viral. That's the public perception of your brand, right?
Yeah.
And so it's the sum of the whole here, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah,
Yeah. What I find fascinating about that world, especially with food and I guess food and drinks, I guess what you just mentioned kind of falls into that banner, is there are once in a while I run into this. I like to snoop around like Whole Foods Market and see people giving out samples, which is kind of the same thing as what the bands do with merch, except maybe
totally.
people don't get the weird face when you're trying to sell them a T-shirt.
Yeah.
But but the weird part is once in the blue moon, I run into people that maybe they had at one point in their lives, they were maybe they were studio people or ran a studio, and then they just at one point decided that they had enough of it and they wanted to go in a different direction. So
Yeah.
do you find it that some, I don't know how many other clients you had that were musicians that went into another industry, but do you find that maybe their experience from being a musician translates over to marketing other products, and maybe they may not realize it, but it's just,
Oh,
or there's some
yeah.
similarities?
Oh, absolutely. It's a mindset thing for sure. It's not easy being a musician. You know,
Hmm.
it's all due respect, it's easy to put in an application and go shuffle papers somewhere and work your way up the ladder, and that's great. You know, sometimes I'm like, man, I would have just done that. I would have a VP position by now and a
Yeah.
massive 401k and vacations in Hawaii, you know, on behalf of the company. But it's like, you know, for a musician, it's like they do that because they love it
Yeah.
and they're not in it for the money, at least at first. And they are resilient people that can handle a lot of shit, you know,
Yeah.
and they figure out creative ways to make money. So it's a marketing mindset. It's a creative mindset. It's being resilient. You know, a lot of people just need to learn how to deal with the punches and figure out other ways to make it through life, especially in business. So when you have a musician that maybe goes to a trade school and learns to be an electrician or to, you know, start their own business or run a franchise, it's like they got grit, man.
Yeah.
And they know what it is to deal with life. You know, it's like that street smarts, but then they got education as well. They probably went to school and, you know, like I have a degree and then I got a record deal. And then I went back to doing these things that we were talking about. And
Yeah.
I've stuck it out. You know, there's times that I've wanted to call it a day and go mix paint at Lowe's instead.
Yeah.
But, you know, I just stick with it, man. I'm just like, I'm addicted to this stuff. And I think musicians definitely have that shell where they can
Yeah.
handle a lot of stuff and they know how to just get creative and think outside of the box and apply it to new careers. That's why you see a lot of people that are musicians or former musicians that are super successful in other industries. And I'm just thinking of tons of friends right now have gone on to form massive companies and, you know, land amazing jobs. And I think that the music and that, you know, that camaraderie of having forged friendships and all that, that are all like-minded people has helped in some sort of way. So hopefully that
Yeah.
makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
And do you do PR? Have you dabbled with like the music tech world, whether it's a streaming company or like whether it's live streaming or any
Yes.
kind of collaborating? Tell me a little
I
bit about your experience with that.
Yeah, I actually have. That's a great question. Are you reading my Facebook or what? Mix One Sound in Orange.
Okay, I
What's up, Kevin? I'm sure you know Kevin Garcia
think so.
through the whole network of everybody, but he hit me up and he's been working for this company for a while, and they do, you know, live show setups, gear, uh, everything that deals with live shows and
Yeah.
streaming too on site at different locations. But they built this really cool setup here in Orange in their warehouse that they have, and artists come in and it's like a triple sided infinity wall basically of LED screens and professional lighting. And so artists come into this place like Fever 333 and many other artists come in, and there's others that just finished that I can't talk about that we're going to push
Yeah.
here, but they come in and they stream it and it looks amazing. It sounds amazing. They charge money for it sometimes. And kind of like how Under Oath did their thing, the observatory
Okay.
setup, it looks amazing. It looks really expensive. And they're doing this and they're obviously charging the artist, but they get to monetize that by, doing that, investing, and then streaming and charging fans to do that. And especially with everything going on right now, it's like we don't have many other options.
Yeah.
The drive-in thing is kind of cheesy, I'm not going to lie, but we need it. We need the techs, we need the sound people, we need all these people to work. So I am all about supporting that because it's important to support the arts, right?
Yeah.
But the streaming thing is cool because it has all the elements of a live show, but it's exclusive. It's like the point is to sell this to people and only they have access to it, and it looks amazing, and then
Okay.
it goes away
Yeah.
unless you pay for it, and it might just go away forever with some of these things. So but yeah, I've been working with them. We got them some really cool features in sound and mixed trade magazines,
Oh, nice.
and that helps them. It helps them attract other high profile clients because it's like that stamp of credibility, right?
Yeah.
That's why we work with anybody. We're like, oh wow, you've worked with blah 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 blah. Like, you're cool. Like, let's hang out. Let's work together. Let's make music.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's half the point of PR, right? Is to build credibility and to have someone else put that stamp of approval on what you're doing. So yeah, in short, yes, I've worked with this really cool live streaming company for a few months now, and we're doing really cool stuff, and you should definitely check them out.
Okay,
Mixed One
definitely.
Sound. Yeah.
Now back to the beginning. You as a musician, you have a little band. You're still
Yes.
right.
Yeah. We're it's called Fake Figures. It's kind of post punk metal alternative hardcore. I mean, the whole genre thing's annoying, but it's just cool rock music, and we're working on some new music right now. Probably put it out sometime next year. It's my buddy Russ, who was in Hotwire. They were signed to RCA and Eyelid, which is a pretty cool hardcore band, 20 years ago here in Orange County. My buddy Steve, who played in Nations of Fire. He was the singer of that band for a while and was in oh my God, sorry, Steve, Nightfall. Yeah, Nightfall. And just an amazing drummer, amazing singer, helps with a lot of the writing as well. And my buddy Travis, who plays in Atreyu, and yeah, he's writing a lot of the music right now. It's kind of his baby, and I've been friends with him for a long time. And I'm like, let's just do something together. And we've had a few member changes over the years, but it's the core of the four of us right now. And our buddy Jeff has been playing with us. He was actually in Scars Tomorrow as well,
Okay.
as a second guitar player, and he's really successful in the mortgage industry.
Okay.
But we're all addicted to music, man. We
Yeah.
can't stop.
It's
But yeah, we're working on some music. It'll be good.
it's funny you mentioned the mortgage and the financial industry, because I find that there are people in that world that I guess you spend all these years in college learning how to manage money, and then you think like,
Yeah.
okay, you got your 401k, and then after 10 years, okay, this sucks, and then they're pretty much
Yeah.
set for life, and then they're like, okay, I'm gonna go back to being the poor guy and playing music or something. But
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a testament to there's certain personalities that will work a job they hate until the day they die. But I
yeah,
think, especially with this year where people are forced to, stay home for the most part, you can still go do cool stuff. You can go hiking and go to the beach and go surfing, but Disneyland is closed and all these things, and people are working from home. So it's
yeah,
making people kind of look within, and, they don't have these distractions like they used to have,
yeah,
and there's not, people aren't flying to Hawaii as much as they were. I don't even know if you can fly to Hawaii right now, to be honest.
yeah,
And so they're starting to question, like, what's going to make me happy? Like what's going to get me stoked to wake up in the morning? And it's not all money, dude. And I mean, we all need it. Believe me, I'm like, cool, I got to pay my mortgage and
yeah,
do cool stuff and get presents for Christmas. And I'm very fortunate, but I still do music because it's fun. And it's like I could pick up a guitar and play, and all of a sudden I'm like, dude, it's like 1 a.m. Oh crap, like I got to wake up and take care of my kids, like, so there's nothing quite like it. And I think that people that maybe give up and they go work at a day job and they might do well financially, like they're gonna miss it. And like some of those people, the second that they have enough money saved and they can go back and do what they love, music or whatever, like they're gonna do it. They don't care,
yeah,
And then, I mean, people can always figure out how to make money. It's you only need so much, and it's great to have, but you have to find happiness elsewhere. That's, I think people that play music understand that, and they might forget about it for a while, and they might move on to a different job and be like, I'd rather just do this, and then they miss it. even though they
Yeah.
might rag on it, you know, for a while and be like, oh, I'm over that stuff. And then they get into it again, you know? So that's what I think. And that's what a lot of my friends have told me. So I'm not making it up by any means.
Yeah. Do you see fake figures going into this with the recent crop of bands that are kind of maybe not touring? Well, I mean, not counting this year, but maybe you don't tour as much, but at least
No.
like maybe you might dabble with live streaming a little bit more. Or, I don't know, doing the Zoom thing, but
Yeah, I mean we're open to it next year just because like our drummer works in medical, and
oh, okay,
so we're not doing a ton of getting together right now just for
okay,
and he's busy as hell. I mean we all are, but and then Travis is busy with the Treyu stuff, and Russ lives pretty far from here. He's in Redlands, so we're doing a lot of stuff virtually right now.
okay,
And but next year, I mean, dude, we're getting the itch for sure. We want to get together and play.
yeah,
And I would say probably towards the end of the year, but we'd love to do some streaming stuff. You know, we got our buddy Kevin's place, and we throw him some money and go set up a live stream there. But we have to have the demand for it too. It's like we do well on Spotify, and we've sold a lot of music like vinyl and stuff like that. But we're not really like known for, you know, packing venues by any means, and that's just being very honest. It's
yeah,
just not we don't play live a ton. You know, this is a project. But if we hit a point where we release a song and it just goes gangbusters and everyone's all stoked on it and it brings people to shows, like of course we'll invest more in that. But for now we're just about writing music as friends and putting it out online. If you know, Spotify, fortunately they really like us and they put us on their official playlists, and
oh, nice,
that affords us through the royalties to make more music without, you know, pissing off our family and using personal money.
okay,
So you know what I mean? It's like it's a cool hobby basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So, I guess we on. So, anything else you want to plug that you're working that you haven't mentioned, or anything else that you want?
No, I mean, just thank you for taking the time to interview me. And it's been a while. Hopefully, Nam will be back next year, and we can run into each other there and
I mean, 2022.
talk about metal. I don't
Yeah,
think they're gonna do it next year, huh?
yeah. No, 2021's not happening.
Oh, that's sucks.
Yeah, another year's canceled
um,
at least.
the world's biggest guitar center is put off another year.
Yeah.
Oh, um, yeah. I mean, I put out a book, a little shameless plug, called
Oh,
Public
that's right.
Relations for Musicians. It's on Amazon, and I'm doing the Audible version. You can get it on Kindle,
Oh,
and
cool.
you can buy the book for like $10. And yeah, I mean, I've been pushing that because it kind of gives artists a little step-by-step guide. It's like 120 pages or something. It's really easy to read
Okay.
because not everyone can afford an X amount a month publicist, or maybe they're not ready, or they just want to do it themselves.
Hmm.
Either way, it's a good read. It shows young upcoming publicists that have been doing this for a while but want my perspective, and artists just kind of a guide of like, this is how it works. Because
Yeah.
I didn't know how PR worked when I was touring. I was just like, cool, our publicist person at Victory, you know, did a great job and we're in all these magazines, but I just didn't put the pieces together, you know? So this is for
Yeah.
someone who's curious and wants to learn more. Uh, Not everyone can know everything about every industry. That's why people are professionals in their own regard. But for someone that wants to do their own PR, it's not that hard. It just
Yeah.
takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of relationship building. And this is a guide for those people to refer to, you know? So yeah, hope you guys can check it out.
So you're not going to be doing any paid webinars anytime soon on how to pick your brain?
Um, I'm down, but I can only do so much with the time that I have.
Yeah. Okay.
um, I'm definitely open to it. I'm posting a class based off the book on Udemy pretty soon as
Yeah.
well. I think it's Udemy. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's you can pay X amount and download these courses. And if anybody ever wants to do a call with me for an hour and pay me some money, it's like, of course, you know, I'm not going to say no to that. But that's not on my menu currently, but I'm
Okay.
definitely open to it. You know, if you think there's an audience that would want to take a call with me about that, then of course, you know, so.
Okay. And lastly, for any aspiring musician who's watching this channel right now, that you can
Mhm.
give them any bit of advice about PR, marketing, or just basically they're at the ground level, maybe recording their first bunch of songs and they're just trying to get people to hear it. What kind of advice could you give them?
Uh, Great question. I think for any artist that has any ambition of doing more than just making a song and throwing it up on Spotify, and they want to see results, it's like learn about PR, invest in your music, at least put money towards, boosted Facebook and Instagram content, but look into PR, read the book, read other people's books, watch other publicists content, hire a publicist if you can, because it isn't just about the money. It's about that validation as well. It's like, I want to see that people care about my music. I'm just being
Yeah.
honest. And I think most artists, that's the reasoning. They don't want to hire a publicist, not necessarily to, get rich. They want to feel that their music is validated and it's like covered by all these great sources. And it's like, wow, like I am doing something that's notable that will live forever and be part of my legacy. Like that's why I do it, to help gain recognition for people's content.
Yeah.
And if you do it for the right reasons and you educate yourself on how to market your music, it's going to work out if you just keep doing it, keep making music. It might not work for the first single, even with PR. It's like for some clients, I'll get dozens of features, and others, maybe it's like 10, 15, 20 features. And that's still really good.
Yeah.
But the more that time goes on and you build your name, you have to start somewhere, by the way. It's going to just get better and better, especially if your music gets better and your name becomes more established. But, as an artist, you put out this music and then it falls flat, you're like, oh, that's kind of disappointing. I spent thousands of dollars recording this, but I didn't save any money for marketing. And that's,
Yeah.
people focus a lot on perfecting their songs and making the perfect recording, but then they don't do anything to get it out there properly, because it's hard to break through. People are distracted by so many things. So you have to sometimes pay to have professionals and ad platforms put that in front of people for you,
Okay.
yeah. And especially if you're not signed to a label who's going to do it for you. If you want to do it yourself, you gotta have a plan.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's why I wrote the book. Is for $10, you can at least learn that part of the world of music business. And running ads on Facebook and Instagram isn't that hard. You just gotta do it. Just go to the site, make some copy, find an image, and boost it. But yeah, it's definitely important to invest in yourself.
Yeah. Definitely.